Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to this other edition of Prime on my Media Prime. This evening we're going to be looking at part 3 of the topic that was captioned sometimes back as Anglophones, as the Anglophone problem. Part 3, we should have part 3 there and not part 2. If it's possible to do that correction, just do that. We're going to be looking at Anglophones as the Anglophone problem, part 3. And if time permits, we also are going to be looking at another very important topic, which has to do with those who constantly manifest in the West, in Europe and in America. Of what essence are these manifestations to Africa? Many times we find Africans manifesting in Paris, in London, at the headquarters of the United Nations. Do these manifestations actually cause a reciprocal effect in their respective countries in the continent of Africa? We are discussing these two topics with our panelists. We have Professor Marc Anthony, who is in the house with us to discuss on this. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening to the televiewers of Prime R and to, in fact, all Africans and Cameroonians in particular watching us this particular evening. We want to make service of this particular topic which has been presented to us. I think that one of the greatest problems we have among ourselves is us, and that's what we'll be discussing.
Okay. We also are in the company of Mr. Tabot, Terence, who is a clergy and also a very active member of Cameroon civil society. We're glad to have you on Prime.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. I want to express my greatest gratitude to our fellow viewers, because it's not easy to listen. You know, we can be talking here and without a give and take, nothing will happen. So our calling here is to, you know, make the public understand what is essential in this turning point. It's a turning point.
Okay.
So thank you.
In our history, we also are expecting Apostle Ambe Valentine to join us. Apparently, they are calling traffic, as well as Mr. Shune Siaka. They have written to me that the traffic out there is terrible. We hope they beat traffic and join us so that we discuss these two topics. But we also in the company of Paddy Asanga, who will be contributing from Germany. Good evening, Paddy. We're glad to have you once again. Hello, Paddy Asanga. Good evening and welcome. Okay, seemingly Paddy is not yet connected. Prof. Marc Anthony, Anglophones have not, or we are in a problem as Anglophones. We are talking about Anglophone marginalization. We are talking about two regions who are today stricken by acute conflicts in the southwest and in the northwest, and we are still not out of this situation. Where do we trace the real problem from our perspective? Is it the fact that we have not told ourselves our true history? We have so many versions of what actually connotes Anglophones in Cameroon.
Mr. Leo, to be sincere, there is a bit of this and a bit of that that contributes to the cause of the problem we are facing. But I'm going to measure my discussion, and I want to make it clear that my is going to actually focus on the fact that most of the times we want to blame a lot of things and forget to blame ourselves, which is going to be what I'm going to focus my attention on. Yes, we have a historic problem which has not been well defined. To be sincere, we have a socio-cultural problem that is hitting us on the ground. We have marginalization per se, as it is presented, which has been for more than 60 years. And those are problems, yes. But I believe that most of the times problems do come to actually empower a people, not to destroy them. In most cases and in most nations, for example, I want to use Nigeria, if you look at the way the Igbos were marginalized by the Hausas, it caused the Igbos to become the economic power part of Nigeria. It has made them to be, in fact, they are the ones that are commanding the economy of Nigeria. This is because these guys have realized that in politics, they are going to keep them aside. So they decided to empower themselves. And as a result of that, they are making a difference. With us here in Cameroon, we have been complaining of marginalization, which is something I'll be sincere in saying that it is a serious problem. We have been marginalized for long. But in the midst of this marginalization, are there people who have been able to step out, who have succeeded in the midst of it? Yes. Is it possible for you as a Cameroonian to, let me say, an Anglophone in Cameroon to succeed? Yes. When I'm speaking like this, some persons have their mindset. They believe that to succeed in Cameroon, you must be part of the government or you must have a good job in this or that. That is the mindset which has kept us where we are. For a very long period of time, we have been placed in a matrix to get to believe that we must get involved in the politics of the nation in order to succeed. And that has kept us sleeping for a long period of time. And today, we have become the greatest enemies of our own progress, where we get to destroy the very things that we are struggling to build. We are crying of marginalization, but we are the same people destroying roads, breaking down houses, burning down schools, kidnapping one another. And at the end of the day, we want to blame others when we have not turned on ourselves. What is the benefit of burning down a school that could empower your people? What is the benefit of burning down a business of somebody, burning down buses that are used to transport that is actually giving income or might be giving some persons in that particular region income? Those questions necessarily, Mr. Leo, if we do not answer it, it implies that we are our greatest problem. If you look at it, you want to start asking questions. This is 6 years going that we have been in a crisis. But to remind us, the crisis has been for more than 60-something years because we are talking of a marginalization situation. But 6 years ago, it mounted. For the past 3 years, it has been hijacked. It is no more the same. I'm talking of 6 years, I'm talking of about 4 years. This particular crisis that we were suffering from, which actually the teachers and the lawyers decided to bring it out, it has been hijacked. And hijacked by individuals who are working for their self-interest. They are thinking of themselves and what they can gain. And as a result of that, because they think that they are not getting what they are supposed to get, they have turned on us, Anglophones. And now, we are being kidnapped every day. A day doesn't pass without you hearing that a family has been kidnapped. One of these have been shot. I remember the other day, somebody left to bury the corpse of his late mother. I think it's Ewane, or is it? Yeah. And he was shot and killed. What for? Is he the government? Is he a francophone? It's not a war against the francophone, it's the government. Is he a member of the government? Is he the president of this nation? No. Why was he shot and killed? That is to make you understand, Mr. Leo, we have criminals who have taken over this fight, this struggle, or let me put it, this crisis, this situation which we have been going through. And now they have turned it into something which we do not understand. And so we can't claim that it is the same problem that was, all in fact, brought to light on, I think, September 2016. This is not the same problem. It is another thing altogether.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Tabot, when you have a look at what is happening, you think that there is another Anglophone problem within the Anglophone problem?
Yes, Mr. Leo. In fact, when we look at the whole situation of this Anglophone problem, I will not even start in that angle. I will go beyond that.
Okay.
You know, problems are not just external, as we talk about. My brother was talking about socio-cultural, you know. Problems are, first of all, internal. You know, there is a conflict that is worrying every individual in every level. For instance, the mind is supposed to be the subject partner of the body. You understand? But today, the body becomes a subject partner. That means the body becomes like a tipper, while the mind is like a starlet. And they are in a hill, struggling to give command for that, you know, that camion or that tipper to climb. That is why Paul in the Bible said, he knows what is right. He really wants to do what is right, but he finds himself doing the wrong thing. Can you imagine what Paul was saying? In fact, we have come to a level. This thing is historical. It's not just Cameroon. It's not just Anglophone. There is something boiling in human beings that has to be settled. These conflicting states. For instance, you are in the house with your wife. You want to, in fact, you want to say something that is right. You really want the family to grow, but the person understands in a different angle. There is no dynamism. There is no reciprocal relationship. You know, when you look at the whole system, from the from the individual to the family, to the client, the tribe, the society, the nation, everywhere is in total conflict. The teachers, the student, the government, the people, it's not Anglophone problem. The Anglophones need to, everybody, they have to learn. People have to start learning. We are in deep ignorance. In fact, this problem is beyond Anglophone problem. Those people that are acting or kidnapping, let me show you the simple principle in the principle of creation. When we look at the creation, we see that God invested a principle. There is what we call, and I will just use two words to, there's a word, you know, there are two words that will epitomize every aspect of this one, of this principle. It's just service and sacrifice. You cannot kill in the name of solving a problem. You cannot beat in the name of solving problem. In fact, how does the body turn to break down? It's when there is a blockage, when there is no communication, there is no dynamism. I don't know whether we are understanding something. This matter, in fact, we need to put our head together. The government needs people, are you understanding? Like us, that will bring counseling. Because even in the level of the government, what are we fighting? I want to understand. There is a blockage somewhere in the gutter. The only thing to do is to remove the dead there, and you allow the water to pass, because everywhere is smelling. Now everywhere is smelling, and everywhere that we're killing, and we see that the only thing is to go and maybe buy more arms. There is something wrong somewhere, Mr. Leo. I think I'll just stop there for the moment.
Okay.
And we.
Okay, Paddy Asanga, I guess you are there. Good evening and welcome, Paddy.
Yes, Mr. Leo, I am very, very grateful to you and your my panelists, my co-panelists, because you always hit the nail on the head. And today, you are asking the question if Anglophones are their own problems and what the solution should be. Yes, we all agree, and I have listened to your panelists before I came on board, say that there is an Anglophone problem, and Anglophones are their own problems. That is very, very true. And I want to take people back to the contemporary history of where we find ourselves today, because there were several initiatives that were initiated by Anglophone elites of good faith. Let me say good faith, and I articulate that word good faith, who said, Anglophones should get a preparatory meeting to dialogue with the Jacobinist government of Yaoundé. That was Dr. Simon Monzo. And he was threatened by an Anglophone and said he had guns. I'm talking about Ayabacho. Then Cardinal Tumi came up and said, oh, let's meet in Boya and talk as Anglophones in some kind of a third Anglophone conference, and let us call it Anglophone General Conference. Let his soul rest in peace. It was Patrick Ekema and a minister. I know you don't want me to call names, but the Minister of Territorial Administration rubbished it. And why did they do that? That is where the problem is, and we should start asking those questions. But all the same, we are happy that thanks to late Cardinal Tumi and his initiative, and the fact that some Anglophones participated at the Grand National Dialogue, we had some concessions made and guarantees given that people like Nambere, Success, Nick Santos, how do you call them, Kawayanik, and all those who are demand of the DDR, Clovis, they are still alive. Those are thanks to the initiative that Cardinal Tumi and Mass from when we met in Yaoundé in 2019 to forge a way forward. Today, where do we find ourselves? We find ourselves in a situation where people sit in the diaspora and want to use other people's children as political guinea pigs to make money for themselves and create government to stay relevant. Mr. Leo, the day this problem will disappear, Paddy Asanga will cease to be relevant until he is called by a constituency based in Cameroon to come and speak on their behalf. Apart from that, nobody has the mandate, and there are also people within the system who have amassed a lot of weight because they have budgets and they can use that budget the way they want. So, Mr. Leo, the debate is open, and I want to congratulate you, my Major Prime, your promoter, and you as a brilliant journalist. I know where you come from. I know your pedigree. I know your background, and you have grown from boys to men. I want to thank you, and all the Abakwa boys are behind you. I'm listening to you people.
Paddy, we are just being told by Apostle Ambe that the traffic is terrible. We hope they beat it, as well as Mr. Sune. They are caught in big traffic out there. Prof. Marc Anthony, Anglophone historians themselves, we have many of them, because we have this confusion because of the so many versions that are being peddled out there. But we have Anglophone historians. What stops them to come together as Anglophone historians and say, this is our story? Let the activists, let the politicians not deceive the people. Let them not talk on our behalf. We are the experts in this domain. Why are we not getting a common front from Anglophone historians?
Mr. Leo, the first thing is I believe that the history of Cameroon has been politicized to an extent where those who have the capacity to actually present it the way it is supposed to be seems to be in a kind of tight corner, because they feel like might be telling the truth as it is supposed to be is daring into, should I use the word, deep waters, which I think is also a problem on itself. The Cameroon as a nation has a history which is vivid, which I think that should be well told to Africans, to Cameroonians. What I believe that is a reason for this division, as I mentioned earlier, Mr. Leo, is the fact that some of them are afraid of sticking their heads because they prefer to dance to the tune than come up with the truth for Cameroonians to get to know what their history is all about. it is funny how some of them even have the courage. You see, some of our historians have the courage to come to TV and present their facts, but some who have the same, in fact, they have their own option and perspective of the same history, choose to stay behind, insult those who come to the TV to talk about it, but they do not come to talk about their own part of the story. So it is aching, but I believe that some of them have a fear, and that fear is the reason why they are not coming. But I want to say this, Mr. Liu.
Is that not a problem in itself, that you allow, it seems as if you allow blind persons to fight among themselves when you know the truth?
You know the truth. That's exactly what I'm saying, that there is a problem there. Because the fact that you are afraid of coming out for might be what you are going to lose shows how greedy you are as an individual. You are thinking of yourself and not the majority of Cameroonians. That comes back to the point where I think Mr. Tabot mentioned of we have an internal problem, basically, which we have first. Because every other problem that we have is just external. It's like I was saying something the other day to some persons. I said we have two economies. We have the internal economy and the external economy. You don't blame your failures to the external economy. You blame your failures to the internal economies. If you feel like anything is happening around you and you want to use that as the cause of your problem, you made a mistake. We can blame our background for the various problems we are going through. We can blame maybe our parents, but at a particular point in life,
we should take responsibility.
You have to take responsibility, change the situation, and be able to say, okay, for once I tried. But if you do nothing and you keep on pointing fingers, blaming others, and choosing not to blame yourself, then there's a problem. So I know there are some of you who are saying that there is need for the root problem to be addressed. There is always a root problem to every problem, and particularly some of you think that the root problem is might be the historic problem. The root problem is us. We need to deal with us first before we can deal with the root problem that they have. The historic problem is an external problem. And until this internal problem is dealt with, even if we come together, we'll break ourselves. Mr. Leo, this issue of Anglophones fighting Anglophones is not starting today. Long ago, before we united with the French Cameroon, we were fighting among ourselves. We were fighting among ourselves. There was this division already existing long. There's this issue today of Graphy. It's not start today. Graphy and whatsoever, it had been long. In the days of Foncha and Endele, they were fighting that same fight. So, we are not saying that there is, I'm not trying to say that we should focus on these external divisions. We should treat what is the problem, which is internal, which is causing us to fight among ourselves. When we do that, we can then have a united front. When we have that united front, then we can now sit with the government and talk from a position of agreement. But as long as we keep fighting one another, forget it. There is no solution we'll ever get. Why? Because even if they say, let's give them a solution, the moment they attempt to give us a solution, we'll be the same person that want to kill ourselves. Why? It is in us. I am limiting it to the Anglophones, but that is a human problem, like you rightly mentioned, Mr. Tabot. It's a human problem. So I think that for us to solve this problem, for us to be able to overcome this issue of one another fighting, historians sitting behind and choosing not to write and inform, in fact, they choose not to even come to TV because I think some of them have written, but not everybody reads. It is easy for people to come and sit by the TV and listen than to go and take a book and read, because in Cameroon, if you actually want to hide something from a Cameroonian and put it in a book, it will be difficult. They will not read it. So, but if you want to expose it, this TV station which can expose it easily, I think that most of these our brothers should come and expose this thing. So to solve that problem, greed, fear, all that, we need to get to a place where we get internal. When we deal with our internal failures, we will be able to overcome our external failures.
Okay. Enomolu said, good evening, Mr. Leo. The sound quality not the best. We are writing from Tarikon. But but you say it is okay now. Thank you very much. I want to come back to you, Paddy Asanga. We have so many Cameroonian Anglophone historians who know our true history. Why, for the past 6 years, have they not come together? Because we may assume that maybe if the government were to appoint some persons, the government would want to influence the way they talk. Why have Anglophone historians themselves not come together independently and say, please, enough of the lies telling. This is our history. Where are they?
Leo, Cameroon, in its current configuration, is a post-colonial entity fabricated by white boys. Those are my words, and I assume them. It is a post-colonial identity, a post-colonial entity. Anglophone is a post-colonial entity. Francophone is a post-colonial entity fabricated by white boys. And you saw this, my friends, I don't want to be very harsh, but you saw them run to the white boys to tell the white boys, oh, our history, our history. The white boys told them that we have moved on from your history. We don't want to know about your history. We want to know about your future and how we can cooperate together. That's where the debate is. And I think those historians have understood it, and they are doing exactly what it takes, because history is written from the perspective of the person who narrates it. And you know, part of our history is still oral. You go and we still have people in our communities who were there, the UPCs, the One Cameroonians, the Ndetu Madrapis, you have the contemporaries like the SDF, and everybody, the Osende Afanas clan, the Baminikes, the Makizas, as you want to call it. Everybody has his own story to tell. But if we accept that we are we are Cameroonians, we should be looking for solutions and not going to write history that is very conflicting, depending on which camp you come from. That's where we find ourselves. And I think that historians, they know that and they understand that, because they believe in what they believe in, and Cameroon should move forward learning from its history. We should rather learn from our history rather than castigating our history and throwing blames to people who are already dead. If you want to punish those who are dead for our history, then you have to give right to people like André Blaise Esama, who go around and start decapitating monuments that were planted by French, monuments that were planted by the Germans. So our history for now, it's a bit obsolete because it is not written by us. We have streets in Douala, Yaoundé, and other places. We have names, Victoria, that are not reflective of who we are, but reflective of the people that gave us these post-colonial identities that I'm talking of. So I will not get into that route. I'm rather sorry, and I want to thank our historians for understanding the geopolitics and the contemporary politics of the world and how it works. Nobody listens to your history, but they want to see how they will work with you so that you gain and they gain. That's where we stand today. Thank you.
But if that's their posture, how do you, what do you tell those who think and insist that we must go back to history, 1961?
We go to history to adjust. We go to history to adjust, but we don't go to in history to castigate. You have two types of historians. Historians who learn from their past and to correct, and you have historians who remain in their past and keep on in this infernal cycle of castigation, and then they run to the white boys when the white boys come and tell them that, look, if you belong to the system that United Nations, then you voted to be part of Cameroon, and part of Cameroon is also Nigeria. That's the part of that you are running from. And when you get to that point, you have to know where you are heading to. You will not come and sit and begin to tell somebody who wants to do business that, oh, John Kufoncha was strict and so on. So if John Kufoncha was strict, why was your own grandfather who was supposed to present you at the time? We have to move on because the world is evolving. Where was China in 1984? Where was Singapore in 1984? The white boys they listen to China, they listen to Singapore, they listen to Japan, they listen to India. They will not listen to us because we keep on crying like they asking for their how do you call it, their feeding boxes. That's it. That's where we are. So we are Cameroon. We respect international law. We have signed the convention. We have filed this and this convention. Then you stick to that convention and not telling people who want to make business, who want to develop their country about your history, and then you start throwing blames on people who are no more.
Okay.
Where does it work?
Okay. Yes, Mr. Tabot, you understand from where he's coming from?
Yes, I really understand what he's saying, and I am also happy. I'm with him. In fact, I want to say something very fundamental. You know, history is not also external.
Okay.
History is also internal. God is behind history. Are you understanding? God is behind history. And if you understand the internal history, then you can march forward. I will give you an example. When you go to a society, right? Go to just say you go to Nigeria now like this as a Cameroonian, you can become the president of Nigeria. I mean, in the external aspect of it. Why can you become the president? Why can you become the king? Let me just say the king. The king is a person that loves the people more than everybody in that place. Love the streams, love the trees. Are you understanding? A person that is able of melting. Are you understanding? Because what melts is love. If you love people, you will bring them to voluntary submission. They just submit naturally. If you serve people, you give service to people, they will just, you know, they will become your slave. Are you understanding? And they will be happy to serve you. So when we talk about history, the history of Cameroon will come and solve this problem. I don't think that the problem is that it's a fiction. I don't know. That history doesn't have any substance. What is the problem? I have earlier said that it is the internal, the conflict. There are elements, there are wrong vitality elements disturbing us. Mr. Leo, you must understand what I'm saying. There are wrong vitality elements, and these vitality elements, you know, all the sickness. Let me just say, people have hypertension and all the light. It's that same conflict. There is no other thing disturbing human beings. Human beings are not free as individuals. So they extend their conflicts to their neighbors, to their friends. Are you understanding? To the environment. This is a problem. So where do we start? I just want to say, for instance, we have created a lot of walls, like the boundary from Nigeria to Cameroon. Before you have to cross to a boundary, you need to, in fact, they have to search you very well. But birds travel from Nigeria to Cameroon without any passport, without any problem. Human beings are captured. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. We are not free human beings. And because of this internal conflict, because we have created problem, and this problem started where? The problem started right from the Garden of Eden. The immediate family, of Adam, Cain arose and killed Abel. And that is how it has continued in history. The tree has become very big, a lot of difficulties. Now we have to, that is a history, we have to go back. Where are we coming from? Our ancestors are who? They are the Cain and Abel and all those people behind us. So when we talk about the Anglophone problem, I'm just calling upon the diaspora, the Anglophones. the government. Are you understanding? We need to come to a consensus. We have to come up with, a forum where we can talk about conflict resolution. In that conflict resolution, we can come out with, with tangible proofs that this nation, we can build it. Anybody that stands for division is not of God. Division simply means what? For instance, if we divide, we feel pains. When you bring division, there is pain. When there is harmony, there is peace, there is joy. Anytime there is division, anytime there is a cut, there is a problem.
Okay, and then there's division, there is a cut. We are looking at the Anglophones and the Anglophone problem. Apostle Ambe and the rest are still caught in traffic. Not easy, they're updating us. But let's look at this issue of smear campaigns against one another. We say we are marginalized, but when you look at the way Anglophones talk back at each other, we do campaigns, so many campaigns. At times, there are days that I do programs here and you go on social media, persons who write so negative things and they paste it. Not only for me, almost everybody, the day Apostle Ambe speaks evil here, they come up with campaigns that he impregnated his brother and that his brother's wife. And yes, how do we understand, where is the love? Where is that culture? We say we have what we call Anglo-Saxon culture. Yes. What is it gone to?
Mr. Leo, I'm going to speak from a Pan-Africanist position here right now. You see, in Africa, there is no Francophone. In Africa, there is no Anglophone. In Africa, we have Africans. Or should I call them, especially those who are in Cameroon, the Bantu phones, if you want me to put a phone there. And one of the greatest limitations that we have is the hatred we have developed for one another. We are living in a matrix. I don't know if you have ever watched this film, The Matrix. If you have watched that film, you can understand what I want to say. Where you are programmed to live in a particular way. The whole idea of Anglophone, Francophone has programmed us until we are talking of an Anglophone culture, abandoning our inherent culture and values which we have as Africans. I think before the white man came, we had cultures and values which till tomorrow they will always respect, which should be upheld above the so-called Anglo-Saxon culture, which is one of our major problems today. We are fighting one another in the name of language and culture which is foreign to us. I think I'm not an Anglo-Saxon. I am from Babanki. And in Babanki we speak Kijam. And we have values which I think every Tika from the Tikari tribe, we follow the same culture. When you want to come to the southern section of Cameroon, even including the southwest region, they have a culture that resembles the same culture that the Douala man, the Kribi person, the Bassas they have. Which comes to tell us that there is a culture that we had, which we should be upholding above the so-called foreign and invasion. Because I will tell you, if you do not know, the so-called Anglo-Saxon culture that we are holding is foreign to us. It was imposed on us through enslavement and colonialism. We never bargained for it. And so today we should not be killing ourselves, fighting ourselves, quarreling with one another, and claiming that we want to uphold Anglo-Saxon culture, that is a crime in itself. To have abandoned your true identity, to hold on to somebody's identity makes me feel ashamed to call myself a brother to such a person. We are not Anglophones, neither are we Francophones. I'll better say I am a Babanki phone or John phone, if there is a phone like that. Rather than claim here those divisions we are creating among ourselves. Until we are able to take somebody who is speaking the truth and we blackmail the person. We smear their names. That's to tell you how immature you are. A person who does not have an identity is worse than an imbecile.
Okay.
As long as you don't know who you are, in fact, you are more dangerous than a madman.
Okay. Padia Sanga, Prof. Marc is raising the issue of our true identities. Our cultures and today are also being neglected because we are identifying ourselves more with the Anglo-Saxon culture. Are we saying that Nigerians who speak English are also very proud of the Anglo-Saxon culture, the Ghanaians and the host of others? Are we not also forgetting our real identities in favor of this Anglo-Saxon culture?
We have a sound problem. I don't know if you are getting me.
Yes, we're getting you.
Technicians.
I'm getting you.
But we have a problem. I don't know if you are getting me, but I got the essence of your question, and I'll be very blunt. I'll be very blunt, and I will be very, very blunt on this one. There is no way I will let it go. Let me tell you something. I am more close culturally, ethnically, and socially to Buddha people than somebody from the Southwest region. The only thing that unites me with somebody from Mali, who is more close to the Igbo peoples from Nigeria, this English language, a foreign culture that was legated and imposed on me by the people I call the white boy, with their religion included. I don't disrespect people's spirituality. I respect their spirituality. But if you see the way I behave and act, I am a born qualified Kwifon from the Ngemba tribe, which emanates from Tika. That is my identity, which I would sell everywhere I go, like I see some other white minorities. You call them Ayans, you call them the Girondins, you call them whatever you want to call them, the Basque. They exhibit their culture. They have cultural wits, they have cultural centers, but I don't know what somebody will tell me about Centre Culturel Français. So why is there not a Centre Culturel Camerounais? And when you talk about Centre Culturel Camerounais, what would you put in that content? Would you put the Bassas? Would you put the Ngemba people like myself, whom I'm very proud in, and I want to be the promoter? What is going to be the content of that culture that you're talking of? So it boils down to what our co-panelists are saying. It is a post-colonial identity and Anglophones within the Cameroon configuration. They are a post-colonial identity. And then when you look into the global African context as a Pan-Africanist, you realize that we have other cultures. We have Awusas, we have Bororos, we have Fulanis, we have Yorubas, we have Ngembas, we have Tikas. Then we have other entities, other cultural entities that form the great nation of Africa that was fragmented by the white boy. That's where we stand today, Mr. Leo. And I think that it is time to end all of that and send the white boys hand their own culture away, because what they impose on us is political, it has nothing to do with culture. Since we have debated that, since we have consumed and accepted that, we have to treat that as a separate problem and then embrace our own culture as a means to communicate with the modern world, not to say that all Bamileke should go, all Francophones should go. Nonsense. Foolishness. What is all that? What is all that? I'm living today in Germany. Do you know that in Germany, black people are marginalized? Do you know that in America, black people are marginalized? Do you know that in Great Britain, black people are marginalized? Depending on how you dress, how you speak, your accent, and the way you eat. You are renting a building in Europe. You cook your food just like they cook the food. You come in the stairways, and you get, how do you call it, a smell of what the person is cooking. One person is complaining, and one person is saying that, these black people, these Africans, and so on and so forth. There is no way that we are going to be accepted. We are, most of us who are in the diaspora, we are economic refugees and colonial debt collectors if we are very, very smart and you. So this is the type of education that your platform and our people should be receiving from your brilliant panelists who are here today, to let our people know that what is going on, it is a business. There are people who are making money out of a conflictogenic situation. They would collect money from people, say, oh, we are leaders, we want to supply you guns, and then they'll go back to the whiteboard, give them a certain percentage of the monies, and then they will exploit gullible children who can neither speak the French nor the English, that they claim it is their culture, Mr. Yu. This is where we are today, and I will stand for what I believe in. I'll stand for Pan-Africanism. I'll stand for one Cameroon. That one Cameroon of Ndetu Mazar, the one Cameroon of John Gufoncha, the one Cameroon of Felix Roland Mounier, the one Cameroon of Abay Newcomb, and the one Cameroon of John Funzi. That is where we are, and nobody is going to take that one away from me. Thank you. I'm listening.
Okay. Thank you, Paddy Asanga. Mr. Tabot, we're talking about the Anglo-Saxon culture. What is the Anglo-Saxon culture that we are dying for? What is that culture?
Yeah, Mr. Leo, you know, no culture in the world is good.
Okay.
And culture have not yet taken roots. You know, God the Creator has a heavenly culture.
Okay.
And a heavenly tradition. You understand? So since human beings fell into sin, they went out of the principle. We are confused human beings. Are you understanding? Today we can come and analyze, you know, culture, the African culture. In fact, when Africa, you know, culture, first of all, determine lifestyle, the way people live. Are you understanding? So before the white came, the Africans, they were perfect. They were perfect human beings. I just want to know about. That is why I said that culture, or even African culture, has not yet taken roots. The roots supposed to be rooted in God, the Creator. We have to live according to the lifestyle of God, the culture of God, the tradition of God. But today, in the whole world, there is no perfect culture. Everywhere is corrupted. Everywhere has been hijacked. That is why we have to go back to the beginning. All human beings have to return to the origin. And when we know the origin and we move towards that origin, then this world will live as one family under God. We will live as one people. There's no, look, this is a global village. And we need to travel from one place to another. Human beings, they love traveling. How can you be stopped to go to America? This is it's a global village. Americans will come here. We have entered in the age what we call the interdependency. Interdependency is, you know, when we talk about dependent, can you manage independent You need the white need us. It is interdependent. Are you understanding? We need to share mutually. We have to prosper mutually and share the universal value, things that are coming from this planet Earth. We all are brothers. Why should we be claiming to say that the white should go or the black, the francophone should go? All these things is just ignorant. We need to come out with a forum where we can talk to people. It's time for change. Mr. Leo. Yes.
Okay. Now, I want us to, since we are looking at Anglophones as the Anglophone problem, I want us to take a look at the school structure. That was the pride of the Anglophone. We had one of the best schools, or not only one, we had some of the best schools in Cameroon, and it was a very flourishing industry. Today, it is being destroyed. We saw GBHS, Muya, that was burned down the other day. We saw PSS in Bamenda, that was also brought down. Is this a problem that we are causing in our land for us?
Mr. Leo, that is what some of those who are fighting, I don't know what I should call it, want us to believe that burning down those schools is actually helping us to progress and have so-called independence. You see, when you go back 9 to 2016, let's just talk 2016, let's say 2015, 2016, the Northwest could boast that its economy depended on education. Why? You could see children of most ministers in this country used to school in the Northwest region.
Yeah, we had the success, the bureau calls.
You had schools like Bishop Rogan in the Southwest. Yeah. You have Sacred Heart in Bamenda. You have St. Beat. You had all those schools. Children used to leave Yaoundé, Douala, and different areas of the nation to go school in Bamenda. Why? And let me say Northwest generally, because education, the style in which they upheld their educational, in fact, the way they were dishing out education was completely different. The way we invested in it, it was so different. And that was what was empowering the economy of Northwest region. I think, and I should repeat it with bold words, education was one of those major things that was empowering the Northwest region. As the crisis went deep, schools boycotted, then it happened that instead of fighting those who were marginalizing us, we decided to turn and started fighting the same institutions that were grooming us. Going to burn down a school, which might be tomorrow, is going to help your own children, is a sign of stupidity and foolishness. Is no more fighting for any so-called independence. I don't see how burning down a school is going to give independence. I don't see how that is going to happen. I don't see how stopping education from moving on. Because I think even in the worst countries, like where wars are fought with bombs, like in Syria, the schools are still encouraged and schools are going on. What more of the Northwest, Southwest, where so far we are not seeing bombs dropping? Why should schools be stopped? Before, they used to tell us that the reason why they are stopping schools is for the safety of the children. I think PSS Mancon, or PCHS even, PSS Mancon had since the crisis
had been going on.
Why is it yesterday that it was burned? when there was no school. That is to make you understand. We had malefic individuals who are totally destroyed from within, who have decided to take their barbarism and place it on our people in the name of, is that still fighting marginalization? Is that still fighting for our own people? No. I think anybody who stands out to support such acts has lost his mind. I mean what I'm saying. And so, how will this burning down of schools promote the solutions to the problem? It will never solve the problem, because at this particular moment we have created a problem for ourselves. Look at it. We are talking here about schools burning down our own schools, because I don't see how PCHS is a government institution. Okay, let's say, okay, they burn GHS, Munya, it is a government institution. What about PCHS? Who owns it? Is it the government? No. Okay. So that becomes a great problem to me, Mr. Leo. And I think that anyone who dares open his mouth to talk, oh, we need to go to the root. Which root problem are we still talking about? Is it the first time we are talking about root cause? The root cause of this problem had been discussed, and I think that Mr. Bia knows the root cause of this problem more than any one of us.
Okay, Paddy Asanga, we are trying to look at the problems that we are now creating from within the Anglophone crisis. We severally have heard of the dismantling of some structures at GTHS Ambe. Many persons have spoken about GTHS being dismantled and a host of other schools in West Cameroon. But today, Paddy Asanga, we have most of these institutions now that are being erected in Yaoundé, in Bafoussam, and in Douala. Are we not destroying the same schools that we are accusing others of destroying?
Leo, listen. Where did you go to school? Where did Poabe go to school? Where did Ebenezer Kwanga go to school? Where did Carson Anyangwe go to school? Can they tell us where they went to primary and secondary school? Where did Paddy Asanga go to school? Those are rhetorical questions. Leo, there are two renowned organizations in the world that attack schools, burn them, kill school children, and kill girls. One is called Boko Haram, which means the Western education is forbidden, and then you have Ambazonia. Why are you people not saying that? Why are you not saying that, Mr. Leo? Are you afraid to say that? And who are the initiators? The only reason that you have boys in the bush is because they have been prevented education. Tell me one person who is in the bush that carries the guns and is prepared to go and sacrifice his life. Tell me one person in the diaspora who is ready to send his child back home. All of us have children of fighting age. I posted a picture of my children, and you saw their ages. They can carry guns. Some can choose to go to the military. Why are they, those of us who are sitting in the diaspora, not sending our children to say, go and stop education? They prevented those children from going to school for 6 years, and today they are telling them to go and burn schools, and they are doing it because they are tough kids. Some of them are released prisons. Some of them are drug addicts. Some of them are these criminals. We should be able to say that. I am sitting here in the diaspora. I can say, I know some of you will not be able to say it, but that's the fact. And the chickens have come home to roost. I repeat, the chickens have come to roost. I hope you listen to the American ambassador when he spoke last time he spoke. I know that white boys are not sincere. I am here with the white boys. I understand now the way I think, act, and behave. And I talk to them, look into it, and it can cost what it will cost. But you want to understand this whole thing is a business at the expense of the man, at the expense of that person who has no needs to take his or her child out of that conflictogenic zone, conflictogenic area. Where is the sister of Chris Anu? Where is the mother of Chris Anu? Where is the mother of Tapang Ivor? Where is the mother of the brother of Paul Nilo? Where is the family of Sakoi Kome? Who is Sakoi Kome? Who is the family of Buha? None of them gets his or herself involved in that nonsense, directly or indirectly. Where is the son of children of all those talking heads who are sitting here in the diaspora like myself? If I had to say that I would run schools because it is a means to get independence, then I think I should be with my children and doing. It's going to take some time, but I want to assure everyone listening to us that we are not going to let it happen. And our people have paid price enough from the 1990s until date that we think that we have to return once a federal system. The format will be determined by the Cameroonian people, but those of us with political identity, we already have a template, and if that template is accepted, fine. If it's not accepted, it is rejected, it's also okay. That's the democracy that breaks from the white people. I am very happy that my major prime has come up, despite the marginalization of all Anglophone voices. Before you people came up, Anglophone did not have any voice. Some Anglophones to go and buy airtime from other media to be able to express their view. I'm listening to you people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, we are talking about the schools that are now being moved this way. As it stands, with the attacks on schools in Muya and Bamenda, are we going to see more persons move over this way, more children from the southwest and northwest regions who have felt that they could go back that way to rather move and inflate the enrollment in schools over here?
Yeah, Mr. Leo, I'm very disappointed with the mindset of our people. As I was saying, if you love people, if anybody harms you, anybody cause any trouble to you, you forgive the person. Because it's only forgiveness that is able, to melt people. You see somebody like Nelson Mandela. He's a man that the world have to appreciate. When we come to this Anglophone problem, what we call it, I even earlier said that there's no Anglophone problem. Let us hit the iron. The iron is very hot. Let's hit it. There is a problem in the internal. Within us, we are suffering. And all the guys that are doing all what they're doing, they are suffering internally. They need what we call, first of all, character education. Everybody that is going out of the principle needs character education. Now, all the schools that are coming here, that land is remaining desolate. Yes. What is the need of fighting? What is the need of burning? I said something that when you cause pain, are you understanding? You go against the principle. Even a tree, let me say, when you are eating food, just take food. If you eat foods unjust, without eating with a public mind, the food accuses you. And that's why people also get sick. You eat in order to give to people. The plants, for instance, take just the tree. When the tree produces, right, it is not for the tree that it produces fruit. It produces fruit for others. Are you getting what I'm talking? The nectar produces for the bees to come and take. It's not for the plants. So we have to learn the principle of creation, how to give. If we don't give, we cannot receive. When we come to the level of saying Francophone, Anglophone, there is something wrong. We have gone out of track. We have to come back and, if the government, the government can help and come out with workshops where we can, bring trainers to educate. It's a world problem. It's not only Cameroon problem. It's not only Anglophone problem. There are a lot of conflicts all around. And there's enough food. There's enough for everyone to enjoy. I don't see the problem inside. It's ignorance that is disturbing us. Ignorant. We have to go beyond that. If we come to this level of understanding, then we'll enjoy this planet Earth. But if we cannot come to that level, we'll keep on fighting and turning around and talking about Anglophone or whatsoever.
Okay. Prof. Marc, we are looking at Anglophones as an Anglophone problem. Do you find a disconnect between the Anglophones living in Cameroon and those in the diaspora? Is there some bone of contention between these two?
Mr. Leo, the fact that most of them, when they leave out of the country, they think different. They kind of think that they have something that's extra that they need to contribute that the others who are home do not have. So there's already a disconnect there.
Okay.
So somehow there is a disconnect existing between them. Mr. Leo, I'll come back to the fact that it is but normal, I want to use this word, that when somebody moves out of a particular environment to the other, it is learning. He gets more exposure and he feels like, okay, he's learned a lot. But I want to say that a lizard that enters a plane does not become a crocodile because it changed the geographical location. I'll repeat it again. The fact that a lizard enters a plane does not become a crocodile because it entered a plane and changed a geographical location. The same mindset you had in Cameroon is the same mindset you have in the United States, as long as you have not been able to transform your mind. So it is not the geographical location that makes the difference or that gives you superiority above the other. It is your capacity to transform yourself, to renew your mind. Once a person has that capacity, then he is upgraded. If it is from that perspective that, okay, there's a disconnect because maybe you are no more at the same reasoning level with the other, that is okay. But from the fact that you travel does not change you. So most persons have considered that because, okay, they moved out of the country, they are not the same with the other person. And that is a serious problem in itself, which I think they should look into. You don't disconnect because you traveled. No. You should disconnect maybe because you have changed level of thinking. And that level of thinking is what makes that difference. Because it is from your thoughts that your life is lived. It's from your thoughts that your life is actually lived. Once a mind is transformed from the mind, his life is directly related to what he thinks. So if you have traveled and upgraded, wow, that is good. That might be the reason why there's a disconnect. But if you traveled and you are still the same, and I also want to say that it's not the school that you go to, Mr. Leo, that transforms your mind, because the mind is not transformed easily by the education. I'll be saying that the education is not what transforms the minds of people. A man's mind is so complicated. I'll say this: the mind of a man is a cybernetic mechanism that God has actually implanted in man, where it is divided into two. You have what we call the subconscious and the conscious. The conscious mind is what learns. But the subconscious, which programs your life and determines the way you live, is not transformed easily like that. And that is one of the things that I should take advantage and say, if that is what you think, you went to school over there and you should disconnect from your people back at home, then you have a problem. I think that should not be a reason for disconnect.
Yeah, when I'm talking about disconnect, I mean a feeling of what the people go through here. Because yes, because you get persons who say 1 month lockdown, their children should not go to school. All of these things, yes, you pass these laws for persons who are on ground to bear.
Mr. Leo, that's the evil in this thing, because in fact they cannot live the same. They are in their comfort, sitting. Maybe their children are schooling. Then they send information back at home and telling their boys to enforce a lockdown. No schools. 1 month lockdown. And you do not feed the people. You don't give them what to eat. Some people will say those are consequences of war. There's no war where we fight amongst ourselves. As long as you are not fighting the person you are claiming to be enemy, and you are fighting your own self, you are in fact, you are causing pain. That's not a war. So when you sit over there and you feel like, okay, you are eating fat, you go, in fact, some of them, they even have pictures that they snap and send to show how they are living big over there. But they sit there and tell our people to go through unnecessary lockdowns, which they are not supposed to. And that is to prove to us that this issue is fought by individuals who do not yet understand the importance of self. Why? Because as long as you do not see that grandmama where you are telling her not to go to the market or to the farm that she used to go and feed herself, you tell her to sit at home even for 1 week, you are indirectly killing her. You are indirectly killing her. You tell your younger brothers and sisters who are back here who are struggling to make it, knowing the system which we live in, you tell them no school, you stay at home. We are creating more thieves. We are creating more prostitutes. No doubt why our sisters and brothers have left the Anglophone region and have run to the Francophone region, and they are selling themselves on the streets. Come to Bonamusadi, go to Bonaberi, go to Yaoundé. You will meet them on the streets. Why? Because some true ones sat in Europe and decided to impose a situation on our people. And some of us will sit and say those are effects of war, raping. What war are we talking about? If we talk about war, what is happening in Ukraine? What do we call it? Where there are bombs. What is happening in Syria? What do we call it? When we are still struggling, we are doing hide and seek. Then we say we are fighting a war. Yes, it is true. It's a non-conventional war. But we should not cause our own people to suffer. Then we claim that doing this is in order to... You are not forcing the hand of the government. You are rather killing your own people. So I think that I have said it long ago here that if they actually want to make a difference, Mr. Liu, they were supposed to have rethinked their strategy. It is been normal that when a person engages in something and is not working, go back to the drawing board, re-strategize, think of a new thing, stop imposing unnecessary lockdown, stop inflicting pain on those grandmothers and our younger brothers and sisters, stop burning down schools. That's not solving the problem. And so if you say until we have to go sit on a round table and discuss, which I believe I have been talking about dialogue, we need to dialogue, yes. Do you think that burning down those schools will force the hand of the government to go down on the dialogue table? I don't think so. So I don't know whether most of those who are arguing blindly and supporting unnecessary evil do even understand the pain that the people are going through. Some of them might say what they say. It is simply because they do not understand. And since some of them are living in Europe, where they don't feel the pain of the people back here. Some of us, we are feeling the pain daily. Okay.
Paddy Asanga, I want us to look at Anglophones and the future of Anglophone children who have not been able to go to school for more than 5 years as we speak. We have seen staged attacks on schools, which means that some children are still not going to go to school because of fear of these attacks. Is that not a very great problem we are causing on ourselves? You are muted.
Let me be honest. Let me be honest. I know you have years of experience in journalism, and you are too smart to ask me such questions. The the strategy or the tactics for children not going to school is by design. Tell me one child who has an advanced level or an O level that is in the bushes and saying that he's looking for Mr. Bia. We have seen instead Amber boys, repentant Amber boys, going to write exams and getting 5 papers, 7 papers, 8 papers, and so on and so forth. So it is by design. That is what you call the idea of attacking school and preventing people not going to school. They told you that they wanted the war or they wanted the conflict to last for 30 years. And where would they recruit? They only recruit from illiterates. An illiterate who has not gone to school would always go and attack schools. So when you ask me such questions, I get very angry, and you would say that I'm aggressive, I'm condescending, I don't respect. No, it is by design. And the other thing is very clear. These people have told you that they want to perpetrate this thing for 30 years, 20 years, 40 years, but their children are going to school. And they are saying that they want double nationality. Why do you think that they are saying all this trash and that nonsense, that they want a double nationality? Because when you people don't send your children to school, they become illiterate, they get killed, their own children will come and educated, they'll be able to read and write, to become governors, as Ahijo and Mr. Pia at the time, who were not more educated than you and myself. That's the way they think. So that's how they have programmed the whole to be. So when you come and ask me such questions, permit me to be angry. Permit me to tell you that you are intellectually dishonest, Mr. Leo.
Okay, Paddy, I have to ask the question. We have to look at Anglophones as the Anglophone problem from all the perspectives. If we have looked at it from, we also have to look at it from the educational perspective. I understand you are angry, but that's my role. I have to ask all the questions now, Paddy Asanga. Yeah, but
yes.
But is this not?
No, don't cut me. Don't
Okay.
cut me, please. Don't cut me. Don't cut me. And I will say this, please. I will say this. You saw Ayabacho with his children celebrating Bohabet, Chris Anu, all of them here. And you saw my own children also. I have never advocated for school boycott, neither have I advocated for people's children to pick up guns. So, do you think that I don't have an intention that my children should be something tomorrow, that they should come back tomorrow? But these people have told you that they are untouchable because they are American and they want a double nationality. It is a political game where they are using the gullible people and the people in the hinterlands. I saw you shared a video where they were saying that they are going to do that, to make a promotion of that video. Do you know the person who was talking about in that video? That clown is called Willie, and that clown is an illiterate. He's a thief who swam across the Mediterranean. Why are you people not talking about it? Do your research and say those things. Somebody who has never been to school will never know the value of schools. Somebody who has never been to school will know that when you send children to school and they know the value of schools, they will not pick up arms. So everything that these most are doing in the diaspora, it is by design.
Okay.
Listen to them back themselves. Listen to them tear themselves apart. Listen to them slender, and then go around, call those illiterates who they release to say they should come and attack people like you, like Dr. Monzo, like Kunji, like all of those reasonable who think that Anglophones should first of all sit down and talk.
Okay.
It tells you that I will sit down with any other Anglophone and talk. Even if they say that Anglophones, fine. If they say they are Ambazonian and they already have their country, so let them go and sit and talk among themselves. But the world have vomited them because there are only 2 organizations in the world that prevent children from going to school, and that is Boko Haram and
Padi Asanga, thank you. Let us take a listen to the divisional officer of Bafut subdivision, who today is calling on the fund of Bafut and the elites of Bafut to also help educate, sensitize the people of Bafut to go back to school.
An industry of crime, and you are the first victims. You might give the impression, national authorities, that you love your children, but you don't love them by protecting and not denouncing their evil acts. You call them to order, to denounce them. You have to know that you are the main victims. Those who supported earlier for the so-called struggle are now among the armed robbers who deprive you from your belongings.
Okay, this are the first videos coming out from this meeting that took place today in Bafut subdivision out there in Mezam division of Mezam division of the Northwest region. Thank you, Charles Kibwa, for those videos. We are looking at what is happening now. What is stopping Anglophones? Because today almost everybody is talking from their end. So many versions coming out from amongst the Anglophones. We have those who say they are unionist, federalists. Even in the separatist camps, we have the IG, we have AGOF-C, we have the SACO, the IU. What stops them from coming together?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
As Anglophones, yeah.
Yes, it is that same conflicting situation. You know, knowledge is supposed to be universal. When you take a liter of water in Cameroon, a liter is a liter in America. A meter is a meter. Even the mathematical formulas, all are universally. Are you understanding? So the conflict, the problem is not, I don't know, this problem is not external. Each individual has a conflicting state. Each individual. That is why people like Sako, people like, I don't know, all these guys, they cannot unite. You cannot take oil, water, and put it into a pot. And you want it to unite without a serious, fire under. You cannot harmonize people. You need love. What will harmonize? Look, I told you that there are, when you take, for instance, the chains of even any machines, are you understanding? You need grace. You need oil to lubricate, to make it to 10. Everywhere is tight. You understand, no? Everywhere is tight. We need to invest. We need to give. We need to forgive. We need love. These people, they don't have it. You think that they can bring solution? They need to learn. My brother just said that knowledge is not the external, Knowledge is that mind. Is that internal. When you learn if you learn how the universe is functioning, right, you can live according to the principle of the universe. You were just saying that people that are in Europe, for instance, they are asking people not to go to school, but their children go to school. Now, when you have a good farm, just say that you plant a good farm of corn, and your neighbor doesn't have the type of seed you have. When pollination is taking place, your seeds also are corrupted with those type of seeds that are not good. So we must struggle so that everything should be fine around us. This is what is important. If I'm fine and you are not fine, am I fine? No, I'm not fine. For me to have joy, I need to enter into a give and take with you. There must be a reciprocal relationship. I cannot be fine in an island. I cannot be fine when I'm totally isolated. I don't know where we can be fine. So, Mr. Leo, it's time for the Amber boys, for the government to understand that we need to put many, many workshops and educate people on their character. Even the government, the character is questionable. Yes, it's questionable.
Okay. Mr. Tabot says even within the government, Yeah, but let's look at those who have been handed responsibility to man the regional assemblies for the Southwest and Northwest regions themselves. How much work have they done to better the lot of the people of these two regions?
Mr. Liu,
we are not talking under the special status.
Yes, Mr. Liu, in fact, I don't know if I will say what I have to say, because I will be sincere in telling you that you can't expect those individuals to do anything serious when whatsoever was called special status is practically having nothing inside. They have been given a paper, they have been named, in fact, appointed into different areas, so we call them voted, as some of them, we believe that some of them were voted. But without the authority granted to them, what would they do? They will do nothing. Look at a situation where, for example, here in Douala, we had a conflicting situation where the regional regional council president was having in fact, he has just been closed down. The DO has power over Douala more than he does. We talk of city mayors who have been, let me use them, super mayors, city mayors who have been named. They do not have power. They are having a power conflict. That's to make you understand that the entire so-called, let me go back to the Northwest and Southwest, special status. People have been appointed, voted, as you put it, and placed in a position when there is no functional mechanism for them to execute any authority. And you do not expect them to go out of that. Secondly, there is no budget that has been placed in their hands, even though the Constitution speaks of a 15% of the national budget that is going to be put into their use. Till now, the question I should be asking is, Mr. Liu, is it true that that money has been sent to them? No. That's to make you understand that you do not expect them to do anything. And deliberately, those guys in Yaoundé, I'm talking of the central government, have deliberately withheld that money because they do not want the decentralization to go operational.
Okay. Yeah, if you think so, but at least we have seen actions happen within the Southwest and Northwest regions. Even without money, do they need to be told to denounce certain things? There are things that are happening there. At least as chief executive officers of these regions, come out and say, my population, just communicate. We hear very little from them.
Mr. Liu, when you appoint an individual who, or let's say you...
They were voted.
Okay, voted. When you vote an individual, and I don't think the people actually know the persons that were voted, who has allegiance to pay to a master, not to the people, what do you expect that he should do? That he should speak against his master in favor of his people? It will never happen. And so it is but normal that these guys, even when things are happening, when they are supposed to step out and talk, they stay quiet. They are quiet, dead silent when it comes to such situation. And what's of it? There was a situation that happened the last time in Boya where that little girl was shot. And I was shocked that it was the governor that stepped out and spoke. Yep. The regional president never mentioned a word.
Yeah, but many
and
other
in several other situations.
Many other things have been happening in the Southwest and Northwest. We've hardly
heard them talk.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
But you expect, is it the only that is supposed to tell them to talk?
Mr. Liu, he that pays the piper determines the tune.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. I want to thank you for helping us to learn from your programs. It is amazing following you on my media prime. Loveline is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Loveline. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and your wonderful panelist. Prof is really speaking my mind. I am enjoying the program. Mr. Liu, my media prime in general and prime R in particular is really helping us Anglophones to be more educated. Believe me that your program is helping 80% to bring peace and to solve this Anglophone problem. Sumbele Kelvin writing from Kongsamba. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all. And to all, good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists. The separatists cannot talk as one man because of greed and power. Daisy is writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists. Some Anglophones are indifferent so far as the Anglophone problem is concerned. I'm following the program and learning. Enrollment in schools in the Northwest and Southwest will certainly improve. I think it will be better than last year and all other years within the crisis. Daisy is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Daisy. This one says, Vilma, writing from Turkey, says the same white boys, according to Padia Sanga, are those who named Anglophones and also named Africa. When we keep focusing on the consequences than the solutions, we will keep wasting precious time. Good evening to you, Vilma. Thank you for always writing. What they know is to impose ghost towns. They don't care that children should not go to school, and those who are capable will carry their children to Francophone regions. Who is doing who here? We are killing ourselves. Rose Eta is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Rose. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Who is sponsoring the burning of schools? The communities around all schools campuses must secure these schools. The regular forces can't do this alone. The increase in school attendance last academic year was a treat to some of our schools in the Francophone regions. Whoever is burning schools is an enemy to our people. Stop the fighting. Stop burning the schools. Linus is writing from Bamenda. Thank you, Linus. Paddy Asanga, we are talking about the situation that is ongoing and looking at the special status. You were in Cameroon last month to also take part in a meeting that had as objective to do an evaluation of the recommendations that emanated from the major national dialogue that took place in Yaoundé, Cameroon. And we are talking about the special status. The regional presidents for the Southwest and Northwest regions exist. What is your reading of their effectiveness? How are they helping to solve this problem?
Leo, thank you for that brilliant question. But you know, I am not that person who's going to be politically correct.
Okay.
And I also want to make it clear to all those people who are my detractors on this platform. I'm reading you all, and I'm saying that I like my major prime for bringing people like me to come and say what you don't like to hear. And the day my major prime would get out of that editorial line, I will become something else. I am not Peter Cobain. I am Anglophone. And I think that I have the same right like Mr. Liu. I have the same right like Nate Cardinal to me. I have the same right like Ben Aki. I have the same right like Dr. Nick Banyam. I have the same right like every panelist here. So I am reading you all, and I'm telling you that there is nothing unless a change of mentality, a change of a way of thinking that will make me try to understand what all of you who think that a major prime should not Padi Asanga should stop bringing Padi Asanga. I'm here to stay. And my major has proved his objective by bringing people like us. If you don't understand that, I heard a very proud somebody make a song say there is foku, alo foku. So, Mr. Leo, I'll come to your question. The regional assemblies and the regional council. Mr. Leo, it is true. I have been a militant of the Social Democratic Front. And for a couple of years, today we opted never to boycott talks because that's what politics is. To go and listen, you give your own opinions, and then you let those who are in power to take it. Because if we are not going to marginalize anybody, but we'll bring people to come and say, and we take what we want to take and what we want to take. Mr. Leo, we came out of the national dialogue and we proposed the Quebecian model. The Quebecian model is very pregnant. And when you look at the Quebecian, you see that Anglophones like Francophones are going to Canada. Those who are very strong in English, they go to Ontario, and those who are very strong in French, they go to Quebec, who are French-speaking minority. So, going to the national, talking about the national dialogue, you cannot have a elected official who supersedes the elected official. That's why we think about the of the special issues, and we say not satisfied. But there is one thing that those of us who morally cautioned the national dialogue are taking away with, is the fact that we have people like Ngu Santo who have accepted being a safe person. We have people like Sofoncha, we have people like Yannick Siko who have accepted that amnesty, protected by the College of Conveners and the General Conference. We have people like people like Nambere, have a panoply of in the GDR Center. That is thanks to the guarantee. We went morally confident. So, I'm not a prophet of doom, and in that light, I, with to me, I won with all the federalists went there, stood tall, and said, no, don't this boy, because they are going to be models for the society, and we need them because we are talking about amnesty. And when we talk about amnesty, it should be very clear. Responsibility, disorder is collective, but responsibility is individual. So we are not satisfied with the content of the speeches, but we are saying that the Quebecian model, since we are not here to invent the wheel, that is so the context of and why we will not make Cameroon the Canada of Africa, where people will come there for education purpose in the Northwest and Southwest, learn French, English from Guinea Equatorial, from all 60 countries, because they would be able to go to bilingual schools, which are perfect and people from the phone zone, send their children in the Northwest and South region. You know, if I was in my 1990s, I'd be thinking differently. But having been exposed to the white boy system and accepting the federal identity created on me, an Abakwa boy, without my consent, without the consent of my father, I think that we should move on and we forge a model that preserves the one Cameroon that we have now in its diversity in our cultural heritage and not only post-colonial heritage. Yes, it is true that post-colonialism, we agreed on something. Our forebears sat in Fumban and agreed on something. We should go and revisit that something. And what is it not that an Anglophone would become the next president of Cameroon within a federal system with a transition? So those are some of the things that we are talking about. And we also think that as far as content concerned, we also think to specialize the special status. I repeat, to specialize the special status, make it different from the other 10 regions who never voted to be part of us and their history. The electorate should be one to supersede the appointed. That's what I'm saying. Thank you very much, Mr. Liu. I'm listening to you.
Okay. What should be the way forward for Anglophones so that they can, in the next weeks and months ahead, speak like one man?
Yes, thank you very much. As I was saying, you know, for people to implement a certain task that has been given to them, they need to apply 3 things. You must have your emotion, your intellect, the willpower to act. Because in everything you need knowledge. You need to love that thing you are doing before you act towards it. So the way forward, I have said that the way forward is only to put workshop to educate the character of people. There is no other two-way. Everything is distorted. Nothing is working, and it will not work. If you try to put it another way, it will not work. The cause is that we have inherited a wrong blood. Are you understanding? We have inherited a wrong blood. When you give birth to a child, automatically a child just is born with sin, no? Sin simply means that the mind became a slave to the body. Whereas the mind is supposed to control the body. So how do you go about, helping people to come out from this thing? You cannot implement all these things without religious people. Religion is internal. Politics cannot solve this problem. Historian cannot solve this problem. They will contribute. Are you understanding? They have to come and contribute. But if you put theology, religion aside, then you put God aside. Because God has representative. Mr. Leo, why should people not understand, the fundamental, the solution? Why can they not understand the solution of the problem? When you give people solution, they just need to work towards that. Which country that politics have solved the problem? Let us understand. Did Mandela solve the problem in South Africa because of politics? He applied heart. He applied love. Even in Indian. Is it politics? Let us begin to understand things.
Okay, let us begin to understand things. We have come to the end of today's edition of the program. Thank you, Prof, for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo, for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure being here.
Paddy Asanga, thank you for coming today.
Mr. Leo, my major prime is my brainchild also. I love major prime. Anglophones have been marginalized, and I want to congratulate you and your promoter for giving Anglophones the voice. I know what you do behind the scenes. I know the people whom you have brought in this program, and I want to say that it is only when people are contradicting where you find then you find the truth. So I am a fan. I am a militant also of my major prime. Whether they like it or not, I have my opinion, and no more Anglophone than Christian Cardinal to me. Nobody is more Anglophone than John Fundi. Nobody is more Anglophone than Leo, and nobody is more Anglophone than those Jacobins who are dining and watching Mr. Biya. So one should sit down and ask the question, how the feasible solution. The partition of Cameroon is not acceptable to some of us, and it is not feasible to what they call the international community. Thank you for bringing me in, and thank you for your brilliant. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Paddy. Unfortunately, Apostle Ambe and Mr. Shune could not beat the traffic. The traffic today was horrible, so they could not make it to today's edition of the program. Paddy Asanga Ndamba Nasens Abakwaboy, thank you for coming.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Okay. We want to thank you, Desmond and Eli, for producing this edition of the program. Thank you to Tambe Bryant, who is supervising the work we do out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.